Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Warcraft news. This time a massive one because we are on the cusp of one of the most exciting World of Warcraft events, well, pretty much ever. And this excitement has clearly been felt by Blizzard, who have now had so many players that they're being forced to open even more new servers. But before we get onto that, we're doing our own classic celebration as a part of our complete history of World of Warcraft series. We just dropped a new episode of that yesterday, so be sure to check it out, and we're also running a special bonus for this month's Patreon. You'll get these two gorgeous landscapes in addition to the usual monthly set. It'll all arrive in one of these guys for 25 bucks, nice and simple, lots of content, our biggest month yet, and it's sure to turn our office into quite the mailroom. Okay, with that, let's get going. So, Classic seems to be even more popular than Blizzard anticipated. Well, either that, or maybe, if we're going to tinfoil hat here, maybe they purposely launched the name creation with a lowball number of servers in order to A, have a good news story as they opened up more, or more reasonably B, to manage the new rollout of servers in line with player interest. But
that's obviously what they were doing. Like, let's just get this out of the way. That's obviously what they were doing.
I think one thing's pretty darn clear. Players are interested. Blizzard have warned players about playing on high or full servers, saying that the likes of Shazrath EU, my server of choice, are expected to have queues of over 10,000 players. And even with layering, that is a hell of a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
To give us 5-hour queues, maybe 10-hour queues, which, come to think of it, is pretty in line with the vanilla experience. So to keep on top of this, Blizz are adding new servers. They announced that on the 26th of August, they are going to be adding Incendious PvP, Bigglesworth PvP, Old Blanchy Normal, and Westfall Normal for the US, and then Flamelash PvP.
See, I honestly, I would have moved everybody over to Old Blanchy if it was a PvP server. I would have been about, all right, boys, let's go on over to Old Blanchy, you know? That's the real boomer server.
PvP, Gambling PvP, Moorgrain PvP, Netherguard Keep Normal, and Razorgore PvP for
I hate how they killed Old Blanchy.
Definitely getting the more metal-sounding server names, and yeah, a lot of PvP servers. And hey, I suppose if history tells us anything, it probably is that us Euros really do like fighting each other, and WoW's no different. But jokes aside, it's interesting that the European servers are getting more of a PvP focus. At least in the live game, it always seemed like EU was more PvE, while the US was more PvP focused. But hey, I suppose that just won't be applying for Classic.
Well, that's why we won both World Wars.
Absolutely no idea why there is so much more PvP interest in the EU, but hey, there you have it. Now, of course, they're not the only servers that Blizzard are adding. Last week, they added a few to both regions, and early this week,
hell yeah, brother,
more. Blizzard have also announced that character creation will be far more open on the 26th, allowing players to cap their accounts with 10 characters per realm and a maximum of 50. And I've got to wonder, is this another big test? You know, their sort of last test, letting them know quickly how many servers they'll need to spin up once Classic launches. Of course, there's far more Classic to talk about, so let's cover the team Q&A. They said that they've got plans to bring up more realms if needed, and that character transfers, including free ones, are being considered to manage populations, and that full servers are, yes, going to have several hours of queue times. Now, this is all super relevant to layering, which they say is decently fixed for your character, with your layer only changing if you join something or someone, and your layer actually persisting a little post-logout in order to prevent people from just logging in and out to switch layers. Now, layering seems to be far from ideal, even in their opinion, and their overall goal, they say, is 0 layering on any server by Phase 2. Overall, they
to be fair, like, they didn't say that was a goal, right? They didn't say that was a goal. They said that's what's going to happen. Like, not like, oh, we're going to hopefully make this happen or whatever. They said it's going to happen by Phase 2. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that.
Want to keep the realm and login caps to be reasonable and then balance things out with layering, and it seems like the idea is that over time the initial hype players will drop off, leaving the servers with their more stable populations. Now look, in my view, this is a reasonable fix to a very tough problem, and I think they're making the right call here. Now past that, they clarified some details, but interestingly they said that getting 1.12 working meant that, say, means that moving on to, say, TBC would be a lot easier, that the real legwork is done, although they did say that, you know, things like moving on to TBC, that would just be something that they would evaluate later on. Next, though, we've got a fairly major drama that happened, one that actually brings up a very interesting difference between Classic and Vanilla, and it's actually an example where Blizzard made...
There it is. Do you know what downloading Classic LFG is? I was thinking about this a lot. It's like accepting the mark of the beast. The 666. Given to you by Satan himself. This is the mark of the beast.
feel compelled to make Classic different to Vanilla in order to preserve the spirit of Vanilla in Classic. Classic LFG is an add-on that made waves. It essentially was a text parser that would see LFG posts and then bring them into a system that resembled a modern group finder. And it could even do this by using secret chat channels. Now, I've seen many people defending it, just saying, hey, it's a text parser, so it just gives you a better UI. But I think that's being willfully ignorant. After all, software used in, say, financial markets to catch illicit trades, well, in a lot of ways, that's just a very fast text parser, and I know because I made one of them a few years ago for a uni project. So,
there it is.
Parsing text, that's just the means by which it works. That's just the back end. The problem is the actual system and how it works. Now, here's the thing. There were some similar add-ons back in the day, like Call to Arms. They weren't that widely used in comparison.
What a dishonest thing for anybody to use this as an example. Like, think of this as like there's one add-on that was used by like one server. I remember I asked this yesterday, right? How many people remember this add-on? Nobody remembers this add-on. What a dishonest example to use.
Though, and they weren't really part of the game culturally, and that's what brings us onto a bit of a wider issue here. You see, add-on development has came on so much further since Classic. Right, back in Classic, people were not at all using the tools available to them maximally. Yes, they used add-ons, but the add-ons were not as advanced. In 2019, we've got a decade and a half of WoW add-on development experience, meaning that even with a limited WoW add-on API, far more can be done. Elv UI, we can do that. Azeroth Autopilot, we can do that. Weak auras, we've got that in Classic. And thanks to this increased expertise, Classic players are going to have access to far more robust add-ons than they did back in the day. And look, it's not just the technical side of things, what we can do.
I wish Blizzard would just honestly make it to where you can't download add-ons from anywhere except for the official Blizzard site and only allow certain add-ons on there and not let anybody just like make random fucking add-ons. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like I've thought about this for a while, and it's like, you're right, that like the way that like Blizzard, like picking and choosing what the right add-ons are and which add-ons to prevent or whatever, I think they should make it to where Blizzard has a list of approved add-ons that you can download directly from their site. It makes it a lot easier for casual players, and also I think it gives the people that are creating add-ons that stay in the spirit of Classic WoW a lot more promotion than they're normally getting. So I wish that would happen.
Technically, it's also cultural. Using add-ons was normal, yes, for the higher end of WoW players during Vanilla, but there were less add-ons, it was less ubiquitous than it is today. Back then, you didn't have add-on managers that would make it all easy for you. You had to download them, manually install them, then the game would update and all your add-ons would break and you have to spend a day fixing your UI. That stuff's just not a concern anymore. It was a lot more work back then and less people did it. But today, the add-on experience is the default, and this is going to profoundly change Classic. Things like what you can track in weak orders, even just having a slick UI through Elv. All of these things will make the Classic experience different to Vanilla, even if the games are the same. Now, look,
it's going to be completely different.
Blizzard should not shut those things down. Absolutely not. Add-ons were a part of the Vanilla experience after all, and it would have just been a matter of time before better ones emerged. But, say, Classic LFG, that might have actually created quite a problem. And because of this, Blizzard have decided to update the API, effectively breaking it. And here's what they said. Ultimately, if a streamlined group finding system was something we considered compatible with Classic, we would have kept the modern pre-made group finder tool rather than choosing to remove it from the Classic client. It's difficult to articulate a clear-cut line for exactly when an add-on crosses the line. However, when an add-on goes beyond presenting information or providing aesthetic customization and attempts to create an interconnected social network that relies on other players also using the same add-on, we are likely to scrutinize it particularly closely. And as you can see, yeah, they're really committed to the spirit of Classic there, as they outlined in BlizzCon 2018. Now, how will they actually implement this? Well, the add-on is a chat parser, effectively, and how its fundamentals work, so I expect they'll limit something there. Now, the downside is that other add-ons could be hit, and I think that would be really sad, especially, say, some of the role-playing add-ons that really do add a lot of richness to the role-playing experience. I think that...
No, they fucking don't. No, they fucking don't. All these add-ons do is they're only used, I go to Moonguard, go to Goldshire Inn, and you are going to see some of the most depraved, disgusting, like, you know, porn is not against the law, but reading those fucking MyRPs or Total RP3 profiles, it makes me want to become a paladin, okay? Because there are things that need cleansing. And that fucking Moonguard Goldshire Inn, they need the light. Let me just say that. They need the light.
Not having Classic LFG is a good thing for Classic, but I hope Blizzard can be surgical in how they do this and allow things like, say, TRP3 to exist, sort of undamaged from this. And then next, we've got the method race to Classic World First, and this one's kind of interesting. I've actually seen some kickback, people saying that, well, the original race happened ages ago.
Oh, what a stupid comment. Like, not Bellular saying, people are saying this, like, oh, the real race. Like, everybody knows. Like, everybody is going into this knowing that they know that it's not the actual world first. Like, everybody know, like, who's like, oh man, I can't wait to see Ragnaros die for the first time. Like, there's nobody that doesn't just know this. Like, anybody who takes things that literally. I wonder what happens whenever they hear sarcasm. Did they just get mad? Probably, yeah. They're just stupid. Okay.
Playing the super hardcore modern WoW way of doing things, that's just not Classic. And I understand those, I understand those things, but ultimately I think this method is, yes, it's an esports team, it's also a media organization, and this is absolutely something they're going to do. It's going to be wildly successful. And here's the thing, this will be especially fun for players who cannot play Classic, and there are loads of people for whom Classic just doesn't make sense in terms of the time requirements.
Yep.
I'm going to be playing it when I can, but I know that's not going to be a massive number of hours, because I don't have that much free time. I still really want to play it, but for a lot of other people, maybe if they've got a full-time job and kids, the most they'll be able to get for Classic is a few hours a week. So watching something like this while they do
Truly
other things could be really good for Classic awareness. I think this is something that will dominate Twitch. I think it's something that will perform really, really quite well indeed. And yeah, we could see WoW at the very top of Twitch, which certainly would be a nice thing. Much like how Dazara Lore, Nighthold, and Old Deer were pretty darn good for World of Warcraft as
You're
races.
goddamn right it was.
This will be
You're goddamn right.
The difference is, I think this will be larger than any of them, and I think it will create a really, really big event that will reverberate far past the current World of Warcraft player base. I think this will really be good for getting new people in. So I think it's going to be really good for Method, really good for Blizzard, and mostly pretty good for the Classic players. Although that said, there's also the topic of streamer servers, and yeah, I will admit, if I say there was one server that all of the people in Twitch were on, that is personally a server I would avoid like the plague, because I don't want to be caught up in those stream dynamics as a part of my Classic experience. Like, I'm going to be playing Classic
He's
when
missing
I can.
out, I'll tell you that.
On Shazrath EU, but
he's
the thing
missing
is,
out.
I mean, I don't really want to do big stream events. I'm not a streamer, I'm a YouTuber, and for me, playing that is more just playing with my friends from the Preach community rather than playing it as a thing for work. I never want to vanilla actually playing it to be that. So I can totally understand why people are skeptical of the streamer servers, and I mean, I suppose I do agree, because the big streamer servers with super big events, that's really something that would be a turn-off to me, and is not really what I want from the vanilla, from the Classic experience.
And that's just a difference of opinion, right? To me, I think that's what really is cool, right? I think that's awesome. Like, the idea, like the events that we did on beta were some of I love doing those events, right? Some people don't like doing that kind of stuff. They just want to play in their little group of people and just play the way they want to play, same as they used to. I get that's fine, right? But for me personally, I love doing the big events. I thought that was awesome. It was one of my favorite things to do ever. So that's fine, right? I mean, like, obviously some people just disagree on that. For me, I love being part of the huge events. I've done them all throughout my time playing the game, and I've loved it the entire time.
Ultimately, one thing I would say is that Classic is being played by WoW players of today, and WoW players are a group who optimize a lot and they try hard. So even with this whole method thing, Classic was never going to have the same rating experience as vanilla. I think everyone knows that. We've got so many more tools, so many more add-ons. People are smarter, better at the game. And look, we also are dealing with 1.12 systems, not 1.11 systems, or sorry, 1.1 systems.
People are saying that that's because I'm the streamer. Do I need to show you the screenshots of me organizing massive events like this back in Burning Crusade, whenever I was still in high school? Do you guys want to see that? Over 10 years ago, I did the same damn thing. Wrath of the Lich King, same damn thing. Cataclysm, all fucking day. I actually like doing them. It's not because I'm a streamer or something like that. I know this might sound crazy, but I actually maybe just enjoy doing it.
which, yeah, had a bit more jank and were actually pretty different. But anyway, with that covered, let's move on to some live updates. Not much has happened with live given all the classic news, although Blizzard did confirm that Artifact Power will continue until October 1st. Now, I'd be kind of worried here that this would bump 8.2.5 to being in October, because if it's October, then 8.3, realistically, it's probably going to be the start of January, and if that's the case, I really see it to be quite hard for them to actually hit an August, release date for the next expansion. Maybe it would bump that expansion back to September, October, or November, like we saw with Mop, Kata,
I'd love to see a November expansion.
And if that is the case,
that'd be great.
Yeah, I think the live team would actually be pretty behind on schedule, and that would make me kind of sad. Here's the thing, I'm wondering, how much does Classic doing well, how much does that make the live team feel like they've got a little bit more slack in their dates? Now, for me, the thing is, 8.2 was really in the right direction by quite some margin, far better game than 8.0 and 8.1, and that means that 8.3 is probably going to be a really good patch. But just that wait for it, I think, would be kind of unfortunate, and if we are waiting so much longer for the next World of Warcraft expansion, yeah, that would be pretty unfortunate, especially because I think that's the WoW expansion that really has a lot riding on it. I mean, we pretty much say this every 2 expansions. They seem to do a Legion.
Every expansion is Blizzard's last chance. Am I wrong? Every expansion is Blizzard's last chance. Everybody, right before the expansion comes out, they're like, man, if this doesn't come out, dude, I am done with this game. And then as soon as it comes out, they're like, man, if the next one is not good, this is their last chance, man. Like, this is their last fucking chance. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And every once in a while, one expansion turns out to be less shitty than a previous one. And people are like, Blizzard finally got their shit together. And then another expansion comes out. And then they're like, fuck. And they're right back to it.
And then, do a BFA, they do a mop, they do a WOD. That seems to be kind of how it goes. And even if that very depressing cycle is the case, then I suppose, hey, the next expansion could be the Legion to our current WOD. But, yeah, basically I'm a little bit worried about them slipping from the schedule, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'm sure this BlizzCon will be a very revealing event indeed. But anyway, that's it from me. Apologies for the lighter than normal edit for today's video. Connell is away for the next few days, so I'm editing this one myself, and I've also got a deadline for doing my accounts, and if I don't do those before Classic, I won't hit the deadline, and it would be very bad if my accounts weren't done, because, well, you gotta do your accounts or else very bad things happen. So, I'm going to go do that after editing this video, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to support what we are doing, you can check out the Patreon, and then of course be sure to check out the complete history of World of Warcraft, a new series that we will be running for quite some time indeed. Thank you. Okay, so here's the thing, you should encourage people to like the video. Well, yeah, I always do. I always tell people, like, I really only ask people to like videos. Like, whenever I ever do this, I only really do it whenever I'm what do you call it, I'm just opening up a video at the beginning. Like, if a video's already been out for a while, I don't really need to post it and everything. But, like, at the very beginning, it's important for people to be supportive of the videos that we're watching on stream. And that way it really helps with their analytics and being able to make sure that video reaches as many people as possible. So that's basically why, right? That's the whole point. Ban me for spam? Yeah, please do. Ironforge is going to be so fucking awesome. Oh, it's going to be amazing, man. I'm going to love it. I can't believe it. I have a comment on that video from a cool. Let me see. I'll go down and I'll read some of these comments, all right? Give me a second, guys, and we'll take a look at it. Okay. Let's see what we've got going on here. Comments. I resubbed to WoW just for Classic, and I'm glad to see the devs are taking it seriously. If they do BC servers, I will move there indefinitely. Not even going to play retail anymore. I only use DBM myself. I used to use Recount, but other than that, I don't like using anything that changes the UI. Thanks for bringing up the my roleplay, Bell. I'm also worried about that case. They're not going to get rid of my roleplay. Classic devs are awesome. It's insane how fast they reacted. Within 48 hours of the community discussing the LFG add-on, they banned it. Thank fucking God they banned it, dude. Like, I'm so glad about that.